Welcome everyone to this 2021 uh, edition of the virtual workshop on machine learning and hardware security. So this workshop will be spanned over today and tomorrow, and we try to keep it for 3 hours each day. And also we had to adjust the time zone so that we could have participants from all over the globe. So just to recap a bit about the workshop before starting with the first talk right after this one is this workshop was actually created with an objective to exchange knowledge and research ideas in the area of machine learning and to improve evaluation and reverse engineering techniques. So with this, we hope to actually create a community of researchers in these areas where we could expose the researchers to new infrastructures, techniques, and research topics. But also at the same time, we want to establish a common ground for new collaborations and funding opportunities. So having this in mind, we actually had a similar workshop roughly 1 year ago. That was last week of August in 2020. And in that, we covered several different topics within the wide scope of machine learning and hardware security. So we had a very detailed and a nice tutorial on the basics on which we could develop these techniques that was based on geometry and learning and shape correspondence problems from Professor Alex Ponstein. And we had several invited talks where the focus was mainly on application of machine learning towards side channel analysis, fault injection analysis, hardware trojan detection, IC reverse engineering, circuit abstraction, countermeasures. And also we did another talk related to the security or the hardware security of machine learning or threats to machine learning when it is actually executed on a dedicated hardware. So all these talks were actually part of the last program, and they are now available also on YouTube for anyone who would like to watch. So this year, actually, we built a similar program here. This year, we actually managed to expand the focus from last year, where security of machine learning was only a single talk, but now we have a couple of talks that will be focusing on them. So over these 2 days, we'll have 2 keynote talks that will be around 50 minutes each. One will be from Professor Yuval Ilovich, who will be talking about evaluation of responsible AI. He'll be supported by his colleague, Mr. David Barron, in this talk. And the second keynote talk will be from Professor Naveed Asadi from University of Florida tomorrow, who will be talking about physical assurance of hardware. We will have 2 more talks on machine learning vulnerability to scan chain attacks and remotely executed power side channel attacks, which will be given by Professor Aydin Aizu and Professor Yakub Shezer. That will be later today. And also tomorrow we'll be covering talks on application of machine learning towards fault injection, puff robustness, and IC reverse engineering. Going briefly over the schedule, so we'll be talking shortly in a couple of minutes with the first talk by Professor Yuval Ilovich and Mr. David Barron will be talking about evaluating responsible AI for regulatory conformity. The second talk right after that will be by Dr. Yusung Won from NTU Singapore, who will be talking about seamless integration of side channel processing in deep neural networks. Then after a short break, we'll be continuing with the talk from Professor Jakub Shezer, who will be talking about remote power attacks on the versatile tensor accelerator in multi-tenant FPGA. Then the last talk today will be from Professor Aydin Aizu, and he'll be also supported by his colleague, that is Dr. Seetal Potluri, who will be talking about stealing neural networks modeled through scanchip, a new threat towards ML hardware. So tomorrow, we'll be starting roughly at the same time. We'll be starting by a talk from Professor Dipdeep Mukhopadhyay, who will be talking on CAD tools for for measuring resistance of buffs, that is physical unclonable function. And then it will be followed by a talk from Mr. Riturajan Srivastav from Secure IC. He'll be talking about fault injection detection using machine learning and sensor fusion with high-level synthesis. And the final two talks will be towards reverse engineering of circuits. So first talk will be from Mr. Danny Kagan from Technion. We'll be talking about geometric deep learning for digital circuits. And the final keynote talk from Professor Naveed Asadi will be about physical insurance and inspection of electronics. So we would like to thank all the speakers who have agreed to actually talk on this workshop, especially because we are quite divided in different time zones. Some of the speakers have to talk very early in the morning, others quite late in the evening. So we really like to thank them for making this effort. And also a special thanks to Professor Eli Biam from Technion, Professor Chi Leglan from Temasek Labs, and Mrs. Susie Iyer also from Technion. So with this, I would like to actually move towards the first talk.